Good morning. This is Kellie Syfan with Clove Hitch Behavior. You're listening to Behavior 911 on Nextdoor Radio, the Nextdoor Radio app, and nextdoorradio.com. I am so excited to talk with you today. We are going to talk about the verbal operants. The verbal operants are a way that we can look at language, look at communication in order to better understand how people are trying to communicate, what they're trying to communicate. And having this background knowledge from the behavioral perspective might help you understand what your child is actually trying to do when they're doing different things or trying to communicate different things in ways that you don't quite understand. Now, to begin, this is one way to conceptualize language, communication, verbal behavior. There's many, many ways. You'll find that your speech pathologist might look at it a little differently. You might find that teachers look a little differently. This is not the end all be all perfect way to go about things, but I want to make sure that this is out there because if this way of looking at language helps you, fantastic. So we're going to go through the really, really basic four verbal operants today. Now, these are from Skinner, looking at his book, Verbal Behavior, and focusing in on what are the very, very basic, smallest pieces of communication. The four operants are mand, tact, interverbal, and echoic. And what we're going to use today is one word to talk about each of these. We're going to use cookie. So something, or actually, you know what? I'm going to switch that. We're going to use candy. It was just Halloween. Let's go ahead and stick with the theme. Just started November. It's nice and crisp outside. Let's use candy today because I'm sure many of you have a lot of candy around. So, one thing you're probably hearing a lot of are mans. Mand spelled M-A-N-D. Think command, demand, all those sorts of things. It's a request. It's a way of asking for something you want. And in its simplest form, it can just be the word. So when you're young kiddos, it might just be candy. And you know they're asking for candy. Could also look like, can I have some candy? Do we have candy? Where's the candy? Trying to get access to something is what a mand is for. So the reason we want to think about this as a verbal operant is our child using a way to ask for what they want or need that we either don't understand or that we don't respect and appreciate? What that first one would be like, they're saying candy and you're going, yeah, it's right there on the table. They're asking for the candy. You didn't recognize that was a request. Okay, so we got one thing we can consider there. Do we need to help them get longer sentences in? Do we need to help them get a few more words in so we understand their context? That second piece, that respect and appreciate, they're saying, I want candy now. That's a very effective command. We know exactly what they want. Do I respect the way they're speaking to me? No, I don't particularly like that. Okay, so they've got the skill of requesting. We just have to shape up the way that they're doing it so that it can be better received. We got that first part of the challenge is, do we understand its request at all? And second, are they requesting in a way that it will be well received by the groups and the society around them, by those they're attempting to communicate with? Again, that's mand for candy. The second one is tact. Now, in that first example I gave there, the child is saying candy, and you're going, yeah, that's candy. You're right. It's right there on the table. We're looking at candy. That's a tact. You contacted visually, you contacted with a taste, you contacted with a smell, you contact with a sound, candy. So, ooh, I smell chocolate. I am contacting and I'm verbalizing what I'm contacting in the world. That's a tact. Or I see candy. I hear somebody opening a candy bar over there. All those things are going to be tacts. So, things to think about here. Kids will sometimes tact with the closest word that they've got. So, if they don't remember the word candy, they might say orange triangle. Oh, candy corn. Gotcha. So, when you're starting to get in those places of a child getting really frustrated and they're trying to name something, they want to tell you about the giant candy bar. They want to tell you about the little candy corn. And they're starting to get frustrated, can't contact and they can't verbalize the name. Think about those other senses that they might be able to describe it with. You might be able to get to that answer a little bit sooner. So, hey, what does it smell like? What does it sound like? What is it? Is it something you can eat? Let's going through all those different questions can take a lot of that frustration of I don't know or I don't remember the word of the thing I'm trying to describe to you and help them get to it in a different way. Again, a tact is labeling anything you contact with any of your senses. Somebody's having trouble naming something, think about what other senses they might be able to describe it with. We can get there a lot more effectively. The next one is going to be interverbal. That is something that starts with a verbalization and ends with a verbalization. So, how are you? Started the verbalization. I'm doing well. Ends the verbalization. Now, you notice in a couple of these, interverbals can link in to the other operants. What do you want? Started with a verbalization. I'd like some candy. Ended with a verbalization. That's an interverbal, and it's a demand, a request. So as we're starting to develop language and figure out how are we going to communicate respectfully and in the way that we're going to be best received, we want to consider what sort of verbalizations will be the cues, will be the triggers. In behavior analysis, we'll call it the discriminative stimulus, or SD. What's going to be that cue that we're going to engage in this respectful behavior that's going to get us exactly what we need and want in the world. That's going to allow us to communicate in a way that we will be well understood and that we will be able to get our point across and be well heard. That interverbal can mix in with any of these. And you might also notice the other ones can mix in too. We'll go over that in a minute. First, I want to go over echoic. It's just an echo. I say candy and they say candy. You might notice sometimes you'll go, oh, my kiddos are very good at echoics. I'm going to spell it instead of say it. Because as soon as I say it, they say it and they want it. So, in recognizing when we're developing language, we're going to want to focus a lot on those echoics. What can I just label for you and allow you to echo? Just so you have those words around. So you'll think that you're hearing an interverbal response. You said something, they respond with an answer. You may think they're making a request. You may think that they're contacting something, that they're giving a tact, but they're just echoing. They're just playing with the language. And that's okay. That's part of learning language. If you misinterpret it in that moment, it may be a little confusing and frustrations may rise. But know that that's a very normal part of developing language through. So let's talk about some of the other ways that these can mix up. For example, if I see the candy and I ask for the candy, I'm both tacting, that's candy right there, and I'm manding for the candy that I see. So those can be mixed in. Ooh, that candy, can I have some? We can have a mand and an echoic mixed together. So the request mixed with the echo. You say, do you want some candy? And I say, candy. Fantastic. I'm getting my request across. I just had to echo that last word. So if I'm really struggling to request, put the last word as the key word to repeat in your sentence. That can be really helpful to get us rolling and being able to say what we need. We can mix that tact and interverbal. What do you see? I see a bird. What do you see? I see M&Ms. And we can mix the tact and echoic. I see all of this candy over here. All this candy over here. Whoa. You can see how all these pieces mix together to create a really beautiful framework for looking at verbalizations and how frustrations can come up when we misunderstand each other or when we don't understand which context we're talking about things in. Now, before we finish today, I want to make sure that I talk about too, verbal behavior isn't just what comes out of our mouth. There's a lot of gestures. If you're watching this on nextdoorradio.com, there's a video that goes along with it. You can see I'm gesturing the entire time I talk. That's a part of our verbal behavior as well. If I was signing as we were talking, that would be verbal behavior. If I was typing this out and allowing you to read it, or typing it out and then a voice was reading it, say a technological voice, often in an AAC device, a communication device, that's verbal behavior. If I am passing picture cards to let you know what I see, what I want, answer your questions, reply with what you have asked of me, that is verbal communication. And there isn't one that's better than the others. There's just good communication. And whatever we can do to support good communication in our family and in our lives is going to be helpful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to make sure that you know, again, I'm Kellie Syfan from Clovage Behavior. If you need anything at all, you're welcome to go to my website, chbehavior.com. You can call or text me at 919-579-6192. I'd be more than happy to sit down and do a 30-minute call with you just to answer any questions you may have. If you want to talk about verbal operants or any other type of behavior, I'm here to help. Thank you again for joining me at 10 a.m. every Friday for Behavior 911 on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. I'll see you